RCL Foods, a company in my opinion that doesn't get much media attention, but their brands are most definitely a staple across millions of South African households. Step into almost any South African kitchen and you'll find them. Salati sugar sweetening your tea, sun-baked bread on the counter, Nola mayo in the fridge, or the legendary Oma rusks for your morning coffee, and the list could go on and on. But here's the twist. This household food giant didn't start out that way. Its story begins not with bread, sugar, or rusks, but with just a single brand, Rainbow Chicken. And over the decades, that single brand became the foundation for one of South Africa's biggest food empires, RCL Foods. So, how exactly does one small poultry business transform into a powerhouse of brands trusted across the country? Hi, welcome to another episode of Mzansi Business, and this is the story of RCL Foods. Okay, so the story begins with a young man named Stanley Methven, who was raised on his father's farm in Hammersdale, just outside Durban. While little is known about his early life, what we do know is that the farm sparked more than just a love for the land. It inspired his entrepreneurial spirit. In 1960, spotting opportunities where others saw only fields, Stanley transformed a corner of that farm into the humble beginnings of what would become one of South Africa's most iconic poultry companies, Rainbow Chicken. The name was inspired by a rainbow Stanley once saw at the farm waterfall. To him, it symbolized hope and a mission to feed families. Starting small, Stanley sold rainbow chickens from a stall in central Durban. By the early 1960s, he was producing around 3,000 broilers per week from his father's farm. Demand quickly grew, leading to the commissioning of the first processing plant at Hammersdale in 1963. Fueled by the vision that chicken would become a staple protein source, Stanley went abroad to study intensive mass production methods, which he implemented back home. By 1970, a second Hammersdale plant was launched and another in 1976 in Worcester, further expanding production and distribution. By the end of the 1970s, Rainbow had increased production in KZN to around 1 million birds per week. Success in these early years led to a major milestone for the company, winning a tender to supply chicken for KFC in 1984, cementing Rainbow's reputation for quality and process excellence. Rainbow services to quick service restaurants would be undertaken by its subsidiary Rainbow Food Solutions. In 1985, a fourth Rainbow Chicken processing plant was commissioned in Rustenburg. In 1989, Rainbow Chicken listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, signaling its transformation from a small enterprise to a major player. 2 years later, in 1991, a company known as TSB Sugar Holdings, which at the time was a subsidiary of the Rembrandt Group, today's Remgro, the industrial conglomerate founded by Anton Rupert, acquired a significant stake in Rainbow Chicken Ltd for an undisclosed sum. TSB was one of the biggest sugar producers in South Africa at the time, with brands such as Salati under its belt. In 1992, Rainbow Chicken acquired a company known as Bonnie Bird, a major poultry breeder in South Africa. Bonnie Bird held the exclusive South African rights to the highly sought-after Cobb breed of broiler chickens. The Cobb is an American fast-growing broiler breed developed through advanced genetic selection to produce efficient, high-yield chickens. This was huge for Rainbow, as not only did it secure access to Cobb genetics, but also positioned the company as the sole distributor of Cobb in Southern Africa. Also in 1992, Rainbow began its push into vertically integrated operations by acquiring a 50% stake in Apple Feeds, a company specializing in animal feed. This acquisition enabled Rainbow to exert great control over production costs and quality, establishing it as a true farm-to-fork poultry producer, handling everything from feeding, housing, and processing chickens to ensuring that the products reached consumers in a timely and safe manner. After acquiring 50% of Apple in 1992, Rainbow later bought the company outright in 1996. In 2004, Rainbow acquired logistics company Vector Logistics with the strategic intent of controlling and optimizing its outbound supply chain. Vector distributed approximately 70% of Rainbow's production. Somewhere in the mid-2000s, Rainbow rolled out a bold brand refresh and expanded its range, moving beyond just fresh chicken into processed poultry products. With the launch of their Simply Chicken range, Rainbow Chicken also have the vegetarian-fed chicken brand Farmer Brown under them. Farmer Brown's history dates back to the 1980s, but I'm not sure if they started this brand or if it later came under their control. In November 2012, Rainbow announced that it would acquire 64.2% controlling stake in Food Corp for 1.037 billion rand. The deal was completed in April 2013, bringing several well-known brands under Rainbow's control. That includes Supreme Flour, established in 1919, Safari and Tafelberg maize brands, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Omar Rusks, Nola Mayonnaise, Pieman's Meat Pies, Bobtail and Dogmore Pet Foods, Macheo No. 1 Maize Drink, and Sun Bake Bread. In July 2013, just 3 months after the initial acquisition, Rainbow purchased an additional 23.9% stake in Food Corp from management for 393 million rand, raising its ownership to 88.1%. Following this, the company renamed itself from Rainbow Chicken Ltd to RCL Foods Ltd, reflecting its new multi-category identity. That same year, RCL acquired a 49% stake in Zambia's Zam Chick Ltd, one of the country's largest poultry producers, and later invested in Zamhatch, a hatchery business. In 2014, RCL Foods announced it would acquire 100% of TSB Sugar Holdings and its international operations from Remgro in a share swap deal valued at around 4 billion rand. This added the Salati Sugar brand, 3 sugar mills, and a number of international interests, including a 27.4% stake in the Royal Swaziland Sugar Corporation, a 50% stake in Mananga Sugar Packers in Eswatini, and 100% of Booker Tate Holdings Ltd, a UK-based global sugar and agribusiness consultancy. Also in 2014, RCL acquired a 49% share of Botswana-based Sen Foods Logistics. In 2016, RCL acquired a 33.5% stake in Ugandan poultry producer HMH Rainbow Ltd. In 2018, RCL completed the acquisition of a 50% stake in Mzansi's Proprietary Ltd, a waste-to-value operation based at its Worcester chicken site. The plant processes wastewater to generate electricity and reduce wastewater charges, part of the company's broader sustainability drive. That year, 2018, also marked the height of the listeriosis outbreak in South Africa. Although the outbreak was primarily linked to Tiger Brands' owned Enterprise Foods, Rainbow was also implicated when a Free State factory tested positive for small traces of bacteria associated with listeriosis. As a result, Rainbow was affected by the investigation and, along with Enterprise Foods, was ordered to recall certain processed meat products. Rainbow was later cleared from the investigation though. In 2019, RCL acquired Driehoek Feeds, expanding its animal feed portfolio, and took a 45% stake in Zambia-based logistics company LNA Logistics. In 2020, RCL announced plans to transition Rainbow into a standalone business due to rising debts within the poultry division, mainly due to dumped imports, particularly from the United States, and the impact of the COVID-19 lockdowns. In 2021, RCL Foods partnered with US-based Live Kindly Collective to form Live Kindly Collective Africa, a joint venture approved by the Competition Commission to market, sell, and distribute Live Kindly Collective's brands locally. In 2022, RCL acquired one of South Africa's largest independent bakeries, Sunshine Bakery. In 2023, RCL sold its stake in Victor Logistics, including its shares in Sen Foods Logistics of Botswana and LNA Logistics in Zambia. That same year, it also sold its stake in Ugandan poultry producer HMH Rainbow. Finally, in 2024, Rainbow Chicken formally unbundled from RCL Foods and listed separately on the JSE. So it's important to note that Rainbow Chicken is now separate from RCL Foods, along with their other chicken brands and their animal feed brands. Rainbow Chicken has since been seeing tremendous growth since its unbundling from RCL Foods. Today, Rainbow remains a leading supplier to major franchises including KFC, Chicken Licken, Nando's, Burger King, Pedro's, Spur, Galitos, Hungry Lion, and leading retailers such as Woolworths, ShopRite, Pick n Pay, and many more. It continues to rank among South Africa's largest chicken producers. Before wrapping up, it's worth mentioning that RCL's portfolio also includes 5-star and A1 maize meal, Monate Mabela, Mnandi Maheu, various animal feed and pet food brands, and even the Yappa app for dog owners. Today, RCL Food employs more than 10,000 people, with several of its leading brands each generating revenues exceeding R1 billion annually. The group's most recent reported revenue stands at approximately 26.5 billion rand. So, who owns RCL Foods today? The industrial conglomerate Remgro is still the majority stakeholder in the company, with about 80.2% stake after increasing its shareholding in the company over the years. The remaining stakes are held by the public as well as institutional investors. And yeah guys, that's the story of how a small chicken farm in KwaZulu-Natal became Rainbow Chicken, and eventually RCL Foods, one of South Africa's biggest food companies. The company stands as a symbol of growth, resilience, and adaptability in South Africa's food industry, with their diverse portfolio cementing its presence in millions of households nationwide. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am Malachi and this is Mzansi Business. Thank you for joining us.